I'm 83 years old, and I spent most of my life chasing things that didn't matter. I worked 60-hour weeks. I missed birthdays. I skipped family dinners. I told myself I was building something important. But the truth is, I was running away from what really mattered, and I didn't figure it out until it was almost too late. If you're watching this, you're probably younger than me, and that means you still have time. Time to avoid the mistakes I made. Time to choose differently. So let me tell you what I learned after 83 years on this earth. Because if I can save even one person from the regrets I carry, then sharing this story is worth it. When I was 35 years old, I thought I had everything figured out. I had a good job, a nice house, a beautiful wife, and 2 young kids. From the outside, my life looked perfect. But on the inside, I was empty. I was so focused on climbing the corporate ladder, on making more money, on proving I was successful, that I forgot to actually live. I remember one evening, my son was maybe 7 years old. He came up to me while I was working at the kitchen table. He was holding a drawing he'd made at school. It was a picture of our family. Me, my wife, him, and his little sister. And he was so excited to show it to me. But I barely looked up. I said something like, "That's nice, buddy. Put it on the fridge. Daddy's busy right now." And he walked away, quiet, disappointed. I didn't think much of it at the time. I told myself I'd make it up to him later, but later never came. Because there was always another deadline, another meeting, another project. And years went by like that. Fast forward 20 years. My son was grown. He'd moved to another state for college, and stayed there. We barely talked. Maybe a phone call on his birthday. Maybe a visit at Christmas, if I was lucky. And one day I found that old drawing. It was tucked away in a box in the attic. That picture he drew when he was 7. And I just stared at it. And I realized something that broke my heart. He had drawn me sitting at a table, with papers all around me. Even at 7 years old. That's how he saw me. Not as a dad who played with him. Not as someone who was present. But as someone who was always busy. Always working. Always somewhere else. And I cried. I actually cried. Because I couldn't go back. I couldn't get those years back. All that time I spent chasing success. Proving myself. Building a career. And what did I have to show for it? A relationship with my son that felt distant and cold. That was the moment I realized I'd been chasing the wrong things my entire life. So let me tell you what I learned after 83 years on this earth. Because this is important. The first thing I learned is that nobody on their deathbed ever wishes they worked more. Not one person. I've been to a lot of funerals in my 83 years. I've sat with friends in their final days. And you know what they talk about? They talk about their kids, their grandkids, the vacations they took, the moments they shared, the laughter, the love. Nobody ever says, "I wish I'd spent more time at the office." But we all live like that's what matters. We sacrifice our time, our health, our relationships, all for jobs that will replace us the moment we're gone. And I'm telling you from experience, it's not worth it. Your time with the people you love is the only thing that's truly irreplaceable. The second thing I learned is that you don't need as much as you think you need to be happy. When I was younger, I thought happiness came from having more. A bigger house, a nicer car, a fancier vacation. And I spent decades chasing that. But the happiest moments of my life weren't the promotions or the raises. They were the small, simple things. Like Sunday mornings, sitting on the porch with my wife, drinking coffee and watching the sun come up. Or teaching my son how to ride a bike, or the sound of my son laughing at something silly I said. Those moments didn't cost anything, but they were priceless, and I missed so many of them because I was too busy working to afford things I didn't even need. So if you're spending all your time trying to earn more, buy more, have more, ask yourself this: what are you sacrificing to get it, and is it worth it? The third thing I learned, and this one took me way too long to figure out, is that relationships require presence, not presence. I used to think I was being a good father and a good husband by working hard and providing for my family. And don't get me wrong, providing is important, but it's not enough. My kids didn't need the latest toys, they needed me. My wife didn't need expensive jewelry, she needed me to be there, to listen, to be present, not just physically in the room, but actually there, paying attention, engaged. And I wasn't. I was always thinking about work, always distracted, always planning the next thing. And by the time I realized what I'd lost, my kids were grown, and my wife had learned to live without me being emotionally available. It took years to rebuild those relationships, and some parts of them I'll never get back. So if you have people in your life who love you, don't take them for granted. Put down your phone, turn off the TV, look them in the eye, ask them how they're really doing, and listen. That's the greatest gift you can give. After my son moved away, I decided to change. It was hard. I was already in my late 50s, and old habits are tough to break, but I started saying no to extra work. I started taking weekends off. I called my son every week, even if he didn't always answer. I planned trips to visit him, and slowly, over time, our relationship started to heal. It didn't happen overnight, but little by little, he started opening up to me again. And now at 83, I have a relationship with my son that I'm proud of. He calls me just to talk. He visits with his kids. And when I see him with his own children, I see him doing things differently. He's present. He's engaged. He's there. And I like to think that maybe, just maybe, he learned from my mistakes. That maybe my failures taught him something valuable. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Life is short. I know everyone says that, but you don't really understand it until you're my age. Until you look back and realize that 83 years went by in the blink of an eye. And all those things I thought were so important, the deadlines, the meetings, the promotions, none of it mattered. What mattered were the people, the moments, the love, and I want you to understand that now, while you still have time. Don't wait until you're 83 to figure out what really matters. Don't spend your whole life chasing success, only to realize you missed out on significance. Because success is what the world sees, but significance is what you feel. And the most significant moments are the ones spent with the people who matter most. If you're a parent, be there for your kids, not just in body, but in spirit. Listen to them, play with them, show them they matter more than your work. If you're married, invest in your relationship. Don't let it run on autopilot. Be intentional, be present. If you have parents or grandparents still alive, spend time with them. Ask them questions, record their stories, because one day they'll be gone, and you'll wish you had. And if you're working a job that's consuming your entire life, ask yourself why. Is it really worth sacrificing your health, your relationships, your peace of mind? Because I promise you, no amount of money is worth losing yourself. I know some of you watching this might be thinking, but I have bills to pay. I have responsibilities. I can't just stop working. And I get it. I'm not saying quit your job and live in a cave. I'm saying find balance, set boundaries, make time for what matters. Because if you don't, one day you'll wake up and realize you spent your whole life preparing for a future that you forgot to live in. And by then it'll be too late. I'm 83 years old now, and I can't get back the years I wasted, but I can share what I learned. And if you're still listening, I hope this story made you think. I hope it made you pause and reflect on your own life, on what you're chasing, on what you're sacrificing, and on whether it's really worth it. If you found value in this, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe, because I have more stories to share, more lessons I learned the hard way, and maybe together, we can help each other live more meaningful lives, lives filled with presence, connection, and love, not just success and busyness. Before I go, I want to leave you with this. Tonight when you get home, put down your phone, turn off the TV, and spend time with someone you love. Really be there. Talk, listen, laugh, because those moments, those simple ordinary moments, those are the ones you'll remember when you're my age. Not the work you did, not the money you made, but the people you loved, and the time you spent with them. Don't wait. Start today, because life is shorter than you think, and the people you love won't be here forever. Neither will you. So make it count. Make every moment count.